Ho ho horror. It's time to look at another holiday horror treat. This one's this year's big one, the remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Let's see if I found this one to be naughty or nice.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh my God, Christmas time again.
Silent Night, Deadly Night is new this week in select theaters from Cineverse. It's directed and written by Mike P. Nelson. After witnessing a man in a Santa suit murder his parents, Billy, Halloween Ends Rohan Campbell, grows up to be a serial killer who hears the voice of Santa Claus in his head, voiced by Mark Atchison. The voice instructs Billy to kill naughty people every day, all through December, leading up to Christmas. Billy's been doing this for years, but this year is different, as he meets Pamela, played by Ruby Modine, the daughter of a gift shop owner who tends to explode with rage occasionally. The two off-kilter kids hit it off, convincing Billy that he should quit his killing ways. But there's an over-amount of naughty people out there, and Santa's voice keeps prompting Billy to keep his killing spree going. Overall, I'm not a fan of remakes. I don't know a lot of people who are. I can probably count on one hand the remakes that actually work. My Bloody Valentine, Black Christmas, the first remake, not the last one, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Blob, maybe a few others. I'm probably forgetting a lot of them. But usually, the films are remade by people who have no idea what worked in the original and really have no investment in it either, other than to sleep in a bed filled with the initial cash the remake gets before it gets out that the movie sucks. But every now and then, someone seems to get it. Mike P. Nelson was the man behind Friday the 13th's Sweet Revenge short film From Angry Orchard Hard Cider, a film that was capable and even downright okay in parts, but let's face it, still paled in comparison to any of the Friday the 13th entries, even The Final Friday, and I frickin' hate that movie. But with this new Silent Night, Deadly Night film, Nelson seems to understand the material and expands upon it in fun and exciting ways. Some of the more interesting details of Silent Night, Deadly Night were touched upon in my recap of the film. We can hear the voices in Billy's head, prompting him to kill and letting him know who is naughty or nice. Yes, this is swiping a page from Dexter and the Venom movie series, but still, it's used to both uncanny and sometimes darkly funny effect. Instead of really changing the story of the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is what Stephen C. Miller did with Silent Night about a decade ago, it simply looks at it from a closer perspective of the killer. This film pries open Billy's brain pan, and in this version, Billy believes Santa's essence absorbed into him that fateful night his parents died, and since then, he's been haunted by Santa's voice. Now, one can look at this literally and make it so that there is something cosmic going on, but really whether this is some kind of supernatural transferal of essences from one person to another, or if it is all just a way Billy's broken mind reasons with his childhood trauma, really doesn't matter. Other than what Billy believes, there's no suggestion that there's anything otherworldly going on, so for me, it makes it more interesting to think that Santa's voice is just Billy's fractured mind. Since we get to hear these conversations between Billy and Santa, it makes for some interesting moments of awkwardness and lunacy. Other differences include some grindhousey and stylized chapter breaks, which signify every new naughty target that crosses Billy's path. And of course, there's the inclusion of Pamela, who Billy feels a kinship with. Again, having a serial killer fall in love is not new, what with Bonnie and Clyde, Mickey and Mallory, and of course Chucky and Tiffany. But this detail, paired with the Dexter stuff, are fun additions to what was a pretty fun, run-of-the-mill slasher film. And let's face it, aside from the controversy around the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, is not anything new, but it did play around with the fun concept and had some memorable scenes that have since been deemed classic, but it ain't a great film by a long shot. As slashers go, though, this new Silent Night, Deadly Night is a fun romp that fleshes out all of the slow bits of the original with some interesting concepts. On top of that, the pace moves quick, the blood flows freely, and they do some things with the Santa killer motif that I haven't seen before. And then there is that scene. The one everyone is talking about where Santa happens upon a secret Nazi rally. The scene is super fun. It's always fun seeing one man John Wick his way through an army of bad guys, and the carnage is gratuitous and gory goodness. It definitely stands out as the key scene of the film and almost outshines the climax of the movie, which deals with Billy taking on another Santa killer type. Honestly, if the big final reveal would have been that the Santa killer was part of a Nazi cult, I think it would have made the film more even, but that didn't happen. The problem is this. Now, I hate Nazis as much as the next guy, But because that word has been tossed around like a frisbee over the last 10 to 20 years, it's kind of lost its zing, and seeing Santa kill a bunch of Nazis is fun, but it also feels like really easy writing as it shines a big applause sign for the trained seals and the cheap seats in the audience. The scene was admittedly fun, but I hope this doesn't become a trend in horror where the monster of the week wipes out a bunch of Nazis. It works here because we're inside Billy's head and we're forced to live in those shoes for the duration of the film. But I don't think I'd like to see the same kind of scene happen in a Friday the 13th or a Leatherface film. Can you see Leatherface chasing some gal and then happening upon a Nazi rally? I mean, cannibalism, abducting people, murder, that's fine and all. But Nazis, that's where Leatherface draws the line. I think that scene has a meta meaning behind it that those lauding it, and maybe even the filmmakers themselves, might not fully understand. You see, Billy's main issue is that he's ultimately judgmental. His core flaw is that he has a strict code of naughty and nice and cannot see beyond black and white. His main conflict is trying to see outside of that limited view of people when he meets Pamela, a flawed but ultimately nice person who sometimes does naughty things. That's a gray area. Having Billy take on Nazis could be a metaphor for the way this country has become so polarized, so adverse to seeing those gray areas. Here, murder is bad, but Billy is justified in doing so if the right people are the ones being slaughtered. It definitely feels ripped from the headlines given recent political assassinations. Depthy stuff indeed, stuff that I think would lead to interesting discussions if this were an era where debate is possible, but possibly too deep for a review of a slasher remake. Back to the film, Rohan Campbell is scores more tolerable here than he was the last time I saw him in the Christine remake entitled Halloween Kills. Here he is personable and restrained, but lacking of the arrogance that permeated his time in Haddonfield. The inner monologue and the moments where Billy accidentally talks to his voices out loud in public is cliché and could fall as flat humor, but somehow Campbell sells it. Ruby Modine is also quite charming as Pamela. Once again, this character suffers from intermittent explosive disorder or the tendency to bouts of rage and acting out. It could be a hard sell, but Modine makes it work and still feels likable the whole time. This is no easy task. The only other true standout of the film is Mark Atchison, who voices Santa Claus in his head. He sounds a little bit like the narrator from A Christmas Story, which isn't a bad thing, but I do think that if they would have gotten a more recognizable actor with a recognizable voice, it would have felt a little bit more iconic. Filmmaker Nelson peppers in some really fun lines of dialogue that not only nods to the previous Silent Night, Deadly Night films, but others such as Black Christmas. It's stuff like that that shows Nelson is one of the good guys. He's made a wonderfully entertaining film that should please mainstream and gorehound fans alike, all the while honoring the past and adding to it. No easy feat, but Nelson did it. While I don't think Nelson should take on the next Friday the 13th film, as I feel his short felt uninspired, he does seem to have what it takes to make potent and entertaining horror when he puts his mind to it. What about you guys? Are you guys going to venture out into the cold this weekend and check out Silent Night, Deadly Night? And what do you think of these horror remakes in general? Let me know the answer to these and more pressing questions down in the comments. Please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're